more than a ship. In the year 1912, a great ship was built. Its name was Titanic. People called it the Ship of Dreams. It was the biggest, strongest, and most beautiful ship in the world. It had golden rooms, soft beds, and music every night. Some people paid a lot of money to enjoy the luxury. Others, with no money, came for a better life. They all had hopes. They all had stories. The Titanic was more than just a ship. It was a symbol. A symbol of power. A symbol of dreams. But also, it was a symbol of the world at that time, a world of rich and poor, of freedom and rules, of love and pain. On this ship, a rich young girl named Rose felt lost in her perfect world. A poor artist named Jack had nothing but a smile and big dreams. They met. They laughed. They danced. They fell in love. Their love broke every rule because Jack was poor and Rose was promised to someone else. But for the first time in her life, Rose felt free. Then one cold night, the dream broke. The Titanic hit an iceberg. Water filled the ship. People screamed. Some ran. Some helped. Some gave up. Some fought to the end. That night, the strongest ship in the world went down, and with it, many lives. But something more important stayed afloat: memory, courage, and love. This story is not just about a ship that sank. It's about how people loved, lost, and lived. It's about how one small moment can change everything. Watch this video until the end, because every second tells a story. And even after 100 years, the story of Titanic still speaks to the heart. Chapter 1: A Floating Palace. The year was 1912. In a city called Southampton, a ship stood waiting. It was the biggest ship the world had ever seen. Its name was Titanic. People called it the Ship of Dreams. Some called it unsinkable. It was more than just a ship. It was a palace, a floating palace on the sea. The Titanic was strong, tall, and wide. It had 4 big chimneys, huge engines, and rooms made with marble and gold. There were long hallways, big dining rooms, and even a gym and swimming pool. On the top decks were the first-class passengers, rich men in suits and women in fine dresses. They drank tea, listened to music, and danced under shining lights. For them, Titanic was luxury. But deep below, in third class, were the poor families. They had small rooms, sometimes shared with others. There was no music, no dancing. But there was something else: hope. These passengers came from faraway places. Ireland, Italy, Sweden. They were traveling to America to find work and a new life. They had little money, but big dreams. For them, the Titanic was not a hotel, it was a chance. On the same ship, 2 different worlds were sailing. The rich lived in beauty. The poor lived in faith. Some looked out from golden balconies. Others held their children and whispered prayers. But all of them were moving together, across the cold Atlantic Ocean. Many believed Titanic could never sink. The ship was strong. The engines were fast. The builders were proud. People said, even God cannot sink this ship. Everyone felt safe. Everyone smiled. But the truth was still hidden: danger was coming. Still, for now, Titanic was full of life. People walked on decks under the stars. Children played. Lovers laughed. Families dreamed. It was a picture of peace. This is where our story begins. Not just with a ship, but with people. With love. With dreams and divisions. Two different worlds. One journey. So don't stop watching this video. Because what happened on this ship will change everything. The Titanic was not just a boat. It was a mirror showing us who we are and what we value. Chapter 2, Jack and Rose. Jack Dawson was a poor boy. He had no money. No fine clothes. No ticket. He won his place on the Titanic in a game of cards just minutes before the ship left the dock. Jack was full of life. He loved to draw, to laugh, to see the world. He was free, but poor. He carried everything he owned in a small bag. He had nothing but dreams. Rose DeWitt Bukater was different. She came from a rich family. She wore diamonds and pearls. Her mother told her how to speak, how to sit, how to smile. Rose lived in the first-class rooms. Her life looked perfect on the outside. But inside, she was not happy. She felt like a bird in a cage. Her days were full of rules. She could not laugh too loud. She could not speak her mind. She was told to marry a rich man she didn't love. Rose had everything except freedom. One evening, everything changed. Rose stood at the edge of the ship. The ocean below was dark and cold. She wanted to jump. She wanted to escape. But Jack saw her. He ran. He didn't shout. He didn't judge. He just held out his hand and said, "Don't." In that moment, two worlds met. A rich girl. A poor boy. One heart. After that night, they became friends. Jack showed Rose the world below, the music, the dancing, the real fun. She laughed for the first time in a long time. She danced without care. She felt alive. Jack reminded her what it means to be free. Rose showed Jack kindness, courage, and the strength of love. Their story was not easy. Her mother said no. Her fiancé was angry. The rules were strong. The world tried to keep them apart. But love is not about money. Love is not about names. Love is about seeing someone's soul and choosing them. Jack drew a picture of Rose. Not in diamonds. Not in gold. But as herself, free, beautiful, strong. That drawing became a symbol of their love. A love that did not care about class or money. A love that changed both their lives. This chapter of the story is more than romance. It's about freedom, about finding your voice, about choosing love over fear. Jack and Rose were two people from different worlds. But their hearts beat the same. So keep watching. Because this story is not finished. The sea is calm now. But storms are coming. And when the waves rise, love will be tested. Will it float? Or will it sink? Chapter 3, Against the Rules. Jack and Rose were in love. But the world did not want them together. Rose's family said Jack was not good enough. He had no money. He had no name. He had no future. They told her to stop seeing him. They told her to be a good girl. To marry Cal, the rich man. To follow the plan. But Rose's heart was changing. She no longer wanted a life of diamonds and silence. She wanted to laugh. To run. To dance. To be free. Jack made her feel alive. He did not care about money or rules. He saw her, the real her. And that was all she wanted. They met in secret. On the ship's decks. In quiet rooms. They held hands. They talked about dreams. They dreamed of a small house, a big world, and love that never ends. It was simple. It was strong. But it was against every rule. People began to watch. Rose's mother grew angry. She told Rose that love would not feed her. That Jack would ruin her. Cal, the man Rose was supposed to marry, was full of pride. He felt Jack was stealing his property. He followed them. He shouted. He hit. But Rose stayed brave. For Jack and Rose, every moment was a risk. But they chose love over fear. They chose heart over rules. And every secret kiss, every soft whisper, was like a fire in the cold. The Titanic was still sailing. The stars above were bright. But under that sky, two people were fighting for love, not with fists, but with courage. They showed us something powerful: love does not ask permission. Love is not born in rich houses or big names. It lives where it is true. Their love was young, but real. And while the ship moved forward, so did their hearts, stronger, closer, braver. But danger was coming. And the sea was not kind. So keep watching. Because this is not just a love story. It is a fight for freedom. A lesson in heart. And soon, the world will test everything they believe in. Chapter 4: Moments Before Midnight. The night was cold, but Jack and Rose were warm in each other's arms. Music played. Laughter echoed in the lower decks. It was a night of dancing, of joy, of freedom. Rose had never felt so alive. She was no longer the rich girl from first class. She was just a girl in love. And Jack was not a poor artist anymore, he was her world. They ran down the ship's halls, hand in hand, like children playing in a dream. They laughed. They kissed. They spoke of tomorrow. When we reach America, Jack said, we'll start a new life. Rose smiled. She believed him. In that moment, the Titanic was not a ship, it was their castle in the sky. The stars above were clear. The sea was still. All seemed perfect. But far ahead, in the darkness, something waited. Something cold. Something deadly. While Jack and Rose made promises, the ship was moving fast, too fast. In the control room, men talked in worried voices. Warnings had come. Icebergs had been seen. But Titanic was proud. Titanic was strong. Titanic was unsinkable, they thought. Then it happened. A sound, low, long, and terrible. A deep scrape. A shiver under their feet. Jack stopped. Rose looked around. People felt it but did not understand. The music still played. The lights still shone. But something had changed. The iceberg had hit. Steel bent. Water rushed in. Below the decks, crew members ran. Passengers asked questions. No one knew the truth yet, but it had begun. The perfect night was over. Jack looked at Rose. "Stay with me," he whispered. She nodded. Fear was in her eyes. But so was love. They held each other tighter. That moment before the panic. That quiet right after the kiss, right before the storm, it stayed in Rose's heart forever. Because love is clearest when the world starts breaking. So keep watching. Because what happens next is not just about a sinking ship. It is about who we become when we face the impossible. When time runs out, and love is all that's left. Chapter 5: The Night the Sea Roared. The calm was gone. The ship was shaking. People stopped dancing. People stopped laughing. Now, There was fear. Confusion. Then came panic. A loud alarm rang. The crew shouted, "Go back to your rooms. Wear your life jackets." But many passengers didn't understand. They had never felt danger like this. Titanic was supposed to be the safest ship. They didn't believe it could really sink. But water was already pouring in. In the lower parts of the ship, cold sea water rushed like a monster through the halls. It filled the rooms where people were sleeping. It climbed the stairs. It didn't wait. Families woke up and ran. Parents carried their children. People slipped and screamed. Jack grabbed Rose's hand. "We have to go," he said. They ran past others, crying, shouting, falling. The ship tilted more and more. Plates crashed. Furniture slid across the floor. The lights blinked. It was chaos. On the deck, lifeboats were being lowered. But there were not enough. Not for everyone. Women and children first, they said. Rich passengers were pushed to the front. Poor families waited and cried. Some begged. Some prayed. Rose looked around and saw fear in every face. But she also saw courage. Crew members helped the old. Strangers helped strangers. Jack helped a boy who had fallen. In the darkest night, the best and worst of people came out. The cold was sharp. The wind cut like knives. The ocean roared louder than ever. Titanic, the great, beautiful ship, was fighting to stay alive. But the sea was stronger. The ship groaned like a giant in pain. Steel bent. Screws popped. Floors cracked. Still, Jack and Rose stayed together. Through the water. Through the fear. Through the storm. This chapter is about more than disaster. It's about choices. Do we run? Or do we help? Do we panic? Or do we protect? Keep watching. Because in the next moments, heroes rise, hearts break, and time runs out. And yet, love still finds a way to hold on. Chapter 6, Rich or Poor, All Afraid. On the Titanic, there were two kinds of people, the rich and the poor. The rich wore diamonds. They ate on silver plates. They danced in big rooms with golden lights. The poor had small rooms deep in the ship. They worked hard. They dreamed big. But that night, something happened. Something big. Something terrible. The water came. And the water did not care if you were rich or poor. People from first class looked calm at first. Some even smiled. The ship cannot sink, they said. We paid for the best. But then, they saw the truth. The floor moved. The walls cracked. And cold water touched their feet. Suddenly, fear was everywhere. The poor had no special rooms. No fancy clothes. But they felt the same fear. They held their children tight. They knocked on doors, asking for help. They cried. They prayed. Lifeboats were for everyone, but not really. The rich had better places. The crew knew their names. But when the ship leaned to the side, it didn't ask your name. It didn't ask about your money. It only pulled. Some rich men gave up their seats for others. Some poor men jumped into the sea to save strangers. Mothers, rich and poor, kissed their children goodbye. Fathers gave them life jackets and stayed behind. One man in a suit sat next to a boy with torn shoes. Both were shaking. Both were afraid. At that moment, they were the same. No one was more important. No one was safe. The sea made everyone equal. Rose looked at her mother. Her mother held her hand tightly. But she also looked scared. Jack looked around at the people, all different, all the same now, crying, running, waiting. Jack said, "The water doesn't care who we are. We stay together." This chapter shows a truth of life. Fear is not about class. Courage is not about money. When disaster comes, we are just human. And in those moments, we remember what really matters: love, family, and staying together. So stay with us. The story is not over. The strongest part of the Titanic tale is still ahead when hearts shine brighter than fear. Chapter 7: A Love That Wouldn't Let Go. The Titanic had broken. The great ship was gone. And now, in the cold, dark sea, hundreds of people were floating, crying, calling, waiting. Some had life jackets. Some had nothing. The water was ice. It touched their skin like knives. But in that freezing sea, two people stayed together, Jack and Rose. They found a wooden board. Only one person could stay on it. Jack helped Rose climb. "You must live," he said. "You must promise me that." Rose was crying. "I won't leave you," she whispered. Jack smiled. "You will," he said gently, "because you're strong." The stars above were bright, but the water below was dark. Jack held Rose's hand. He never let go, not even when his body began to shake. His lips turned blue. His eyes closed. But still, he stayed. He stayed for her. Rose tried to talk. Her voice was weak. Her body hurt. But her heart? Her heart was burning. Not from cold, but from love. Because love doesn't freeze. It doesn't sink. It doesn't stop when the heart does. It stays. A lifeboat came. She almost didn't call it. But she remembered Jack's words. "You must promise me you'll survive. You'll live. You'll never let go of that promise." So she let go of his hand, slowly, painfully. She kissed him. Then she whispered, "I'll never let go." She was saved. But Jack was gone. That night, many lost someone. A father. A child. A friend. But Jack and Rose gave us something else, a story that reminds us, true love is not about time. It's not about money. It's not even about happy endings. It's about giving your heart, fully, deeply, even when the world is falling apart. And that's why we remember them. Not just for their love, but for their strength. Their sacrifice. Their promise. Jack showed us what it means to love. Rose showed us what it means to live with that love. Stay with us. Because after heartbreak, comes hope. And this story. This lesson is not over. Chapter 8, The Final Goodbye. The cold sea was still. The screams were fading. The stars were shining high in the sky. But Rose was not looking up. She was looking down at Jack. His hand was in hers. But his eyes were closed. His face was still. The sea had taken him. "Goodbye," she whispered. Her voice was soft. Her lips were shaking. But her heart? It was screaming. She wanted to cry. She wanted to stop time. But Jack had made her promise: live. Survive. Never let go. She kissed his hand. She held it close to her heart. Then, slowly, she let it go. He sank into the deep, dark water. And Rose was alone. But not really. Because Jack was with her, in her heart, in her breath, in her future. His love gave her strength. His sacrifice gave her a second chance. That night, Rose was not just a girl who survived the Titanic. She became a woman who carried a promise forever. She found a whistle. She blew it again and again, even when her lips bled. A lifeboat came. She was saved. But she left a part of herself in that sea. The part that loved Jack. The part that said goodbye. Years passed. People forgot many things. But Rose never forgot Jack. Not his laugh. Not his words. Not the way he looked at her like she was the only girl in the world. She told no one. But every night, she closed her eyes and saw him. In dreams. In memories. In the stars above. This was not just love. It was courage. It was sacrifice. Jack gave his life so she could have hers. And Rose kept her promise. She lived a full life. But she never let go of that final goodbye. Dear viewers, stay with us until the end. Because this story teaches us something deep, true love does not always mean staying. Sometimes, it means letting go for someone else to live. Chapter 9, A Rose's Promise. Rose was alone now. The ship was gone. Jack was gone. But one thing stayed with her, a promise. He told her, "Promise me. You will live. You will go on. You will have babies, grow old, and die warm in your bed. Promise me, Rose." And she did. The sea was cold. The night was long. But Rose survived. The next day, she sat on a rescue ship. Her clothes were wet. Her hands were shaking. But her heart was strong. Because Jack gave her that strength. Rose gave a false name to the officers. She wanted a new start. She didn't want anyone to find her. Not her mother. Not her past. She wanted to live the life she chose, not the life others planned. Years passed. Rose traveled the world. She saw the Eiffel Tower. She rode horses on beaches. She laughed. She cried. She danced under the stars. She jumped into lakes. She flew in planes. She did everything Jack never got to do. Every step, every smile, it was for him. She had a family. She had a home. She had love again. But deep inside her heart, Jack never left. She never told anyone about him. But every night, when the world was quiet, she would look at the stars. She would remember his voice. His laugh. His eyes. And her heart would whisper, "Thank you." Jack gave Rose more than love. He gave her freedom. He saved her from a life without joy. He showed her what it means to be alive. She never let go of his memory. Not once. Not in 84 years. Dear viewers, if you are still watching, remember this: one act of love can change a life forever. One promise can carry you through storms. Stay until the end, because Rose's story is not over yet. Chapter 10, A Ship Found, A Memory Returned. Many years had passed. The world changed. But deep under the ocean, the Titanic still slept. It was lost for a long time. People said it was a ghost ship. A legend. A mystery. Then one day, explorers found it. They sent machines down into the cold, dark sea. They saw broken walls, old cups, shoes, and beds. Everything was quiet, but it felt alive. Like the ship still had something to say. News spread fast, Titanic found. But it wasn't just a ship they wanted stories. And one story came from a woman no one expected. She was old now. Her hair was white. Her voice was soft. But her memory was strong. Her name was Rose Dawson. And when she saw the ship again on the screen, her eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "It was the ship of dreams," and it was. Rose had never told her full story before. Not to her children. Not to her grandchildren. But now, the world was listening. She told them about Jack. About the stars. The dancing. The iceberg. And the promise. She told them not just about how the Titanic sank, but about how love rose. People cried when they heard her words. Young people. Old people. Rich and poor. Everyone saw something in her eyes, truth. And one night, when no one was watching, Rose went to the edge of the ship again. In her hand was a blue diamond, the heart of the ocean. It was priceless. But to her, Jack's love was more valuable. So she dropped it into the sea. Back to where the story began. Dear viewer, this story isn't just about history. It's about heart. If you're still watching, remember, some memories never sink. Some love lasts forever. Stay until the very end, because the ocean has one last secret to share. What will you remember? Over 100 years have passed. The ship is gone, resting deep in the cold sea. But people still remember. Not just the ship, but the people, the love, the courage. Rose remembered Jack. Not just for his smile or his drawings, but for what he gave her: freedom, bravery, and the power to live a full life. He showed her that life is short and love is strong. He died, but his memory stayed with her forever. We remember the rich man who gave up his seat so someone else could live. We remember the band that kept playing music while the ship went down. We remember the mothers who hugged their children, and the fathers who stayed behind. These were not just passengers. These were heroes in quiet ways. Titanic is not only a story from the past. It is a lesson. A lesson that reminds us. No one is too small to love deeply, to fight bravely, or to leave a mark. When the ship went down, everything was dark. But the memory shines brighter than ever. Because true love, courage, and sacrifice never sink. So now we ask you, dear viewer, what will you remember? And more than that, what will your story be? Maybe your story is still beginning. Maybe your iceberg has not come yet. But when it does, will you be ready? Will you choose fear or love? Will you stay silent or be brave? The Titanic story is finished. But your story is still being written. Thank you for watching until the end. Don't forget to share this video with someone you care about. Because stories like this are meant to be remembered.